This is my review of the MGMT album Loss of Life. It was released in 2024 and produced by MGMT and Patrick Wimberly. So I got this when it came out in I think like February, and I would say that probably by my like second listen to it I was like, okay, I think this is like the best thing they've done at least since Congratulations, as far as like a whole album. So I kind of like I listened to it a lot. When I started doing these reviews and started going back and listening to the older MGMT stuff, I kind of stopped listening to this for a while because I'm like, okay, I want to take a break from it and go back to it when I review it and see if I feel the same way about it, or if my opinion's changed a little bit. And it has changed a little bit. It's kind of gone up. So my like impression of this album is, I guess if I were like going through all their albums to this album, I feel like their first album's kind of where they like established themselves, got their hits and stuff, and I feel like it's kind of written like that, like they were writing songs to try to get something that would hit. And then their second album, Congratulations, seems to be kind of a reaction a little bit to the fame and kind of against that first album. And then like their third album is them kind of like branching out. The fourth album, I feel like Little Dark Age is kind of a reaction to that third album, maybe like not doing so well, but then it's also like showing their willingness to keep kind of experimenting in some ways, but it also kind of like goes back to their earlier kind of days a little bit. This album, Loss of Life, seems to me to be kind of like an album of like an older band kind of being a little bit more reflective on some of their past, as well as kind of taking a look at the way things are now and like talking about those kind of things in the lyrics. So I think that kind of like reflectiveness of it, and like maybe like the age of the guys and kind of and they're like where they're at or whatever, gives a kind of like depressing vibe to me. But I kind of like that. But I just kind of want to mention that like going into it, because I feel like a lot of my opinions on the songs on this album are that like, oh, this is kind of a downer. The album starts with Loss of Life Part 2, which isn't really like a full song. It's kind of this weird like intro thing. It plays kind of the main instrumental part to the last song and title track of the album. And there's this guy like reading poetry in it. And I think it works really cool as like an intro to the album. The just like melody of the title track is just kind of like really haunting. And it's with the guy like reading the poetry in the background. It just sounds really cool. So a really cool way to start the album. Second track, Mother Nature. This was the first song I heard from it, and I don't remember it making like a huge impression the first time I heard it. But it's grown on me more and more. I think definitely by like the second time I listened to this album, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's kind of got, and they kind of do this again later, but it's got in the instrumental part of the song, it's got some stuff that kind of reminds me of Alien Days in it. But it's a good song. It's kind of a like subtly catchy. I really like the lyrics. I like pretty much all the lyrics on this album a lot. The third track, Dancing in Babylon, features Christine and the Queens, which I'm not familiar with any of their stuff. I like her singing on this. I think she sounds good with Andrew. My cousin described this track as like being Love Always Remains Part 2, and as soon as he said that, I'm like, yeah, I see what you mean. It definitely kind of reminds me of that track a little bit, but not in a bad way. It's not like it's a rip-off or anything. It's just kind of something that is in a little bit like similar vein to that song, which they do a few times on this album, which I think is actually cool. But yeah, I like this one a lot. My brother's always kind of complaining about it a little bit. I think he says that he likes it more now than when he first heard it, but he doesn't like the way they sing like Babylon, the way they pronounce it for some reason. But yeah, pretty good track. I'd call it like a minor highlight for me. Fourth track, People in the Streets. This one is actually by quite a bit like my least favorite on the album. I don't think it's bad or anything. I actually think that for like my least favorite, it's a really strong track. It's just that compared to the other stuff on the album, I don't find it as interesting. It seems to me like it's almost kind of all built up to the like last end of the song and like the last verse, or the last like line of the verse or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's instrumentally, there's nothing in it that like really grabs me too much. There's this one, like, I think it's the bass part kind of reminds me of something from The Wall, so that gets me like thinking Pink Floyd with it. Um, but yeah, sorry it's late, so I'm kind of rambly, but it's a good song, just not as catchy as some of the other stuff on here, not as memorable. I don't really, the whole like people in the streets part that I think is supposed to be like the main hook of it just doesn't really grab me that much. But it's still not a bad song at all. Fifth track, Bubblegum Dog. This one I heard, I'm pretty sure, when it came out as a single, and I don't think I listened to it very close because it didn't make that much of an impression. But now I'd say it's my favorite track on the album, kind of closely tied with a few others maybe. But I really like this one, really like the lyrics, they're really entertaining. The instrumental stuff's really cool, like the keyboards a lot, like the guitar solo. It really kind of reminds me of like the Syd Barrett era Pink Floyd. Like I have no idea if they were influenced by them at all or not, but it just gives me that kind of vibe. And I love that era of Floyd, so really dig this song. Sixth track, Nothing to Declare. This one I really like too. Got some more lyrics that I really like, especially the first line. I get kind of like country vibes from this song a little bit in some ways. I think it's the drumming, maybe some of it's got some kind of like slidey type of guitar sound going on. But another minor highlight for me. Seventh track, Nothing Changes. This one, close to my favorite. It's another one of those ones that I find kind of depressing, though. I think it's the lyrics. But I also think it has Andrew's best like vocal delivery on the album. I think he sings a really great, really cool instrumental stuff I think going on, and it's just got, especially towards the end of it when it starts like adding in some extra stuff. Just a really cool track. The eighth track, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but I think it's Frady's song. And this one I can never remember what it sounds like because of the name. I'm always complaining about this, and I'm probably going to keep complaining about it, but it's like, if you want people to remember what your song is by looking at the name it something that's in the song, because I just like look at this and I'm like, which one's that again? But like, it's a really good song though. I really like the vocal melody. I think it's really catchy. Yeah, just kind of a nice, dreamy, gentle sounding song. The ninth track, I Wish I Was Joking. This one, another like kind of entertaining. It's like a sad but also kind of funny lyric, and I love the I Wish I Was Joking part. Just really cool song. And then the 10th and final track, Loss of Life. It's a great closing track. I really love the instrumental part to it. The vocal melody is really good. Kind of another just like soft, kind of dreamy song, but I think it like has parts that kind of like pick up in different things. But it's another one that kind of gives me like the Alien Daisy vibes a little bit with some of the instrumental stuff going on. But really strong closing track. Really, just probably another song that I would say is close to my favorite. Like there's 3 or 4 songs on here that are almost all my favorite. But I think Bubblegum Dog kind of beats them out just by a little bit. But yeah, really strong way to end the album. So Loss of Life. I don't know. Really, I think it's sort of a depressing album in some ways, but it's just really catchy, really kind of cool instrumental stuff, a little trippy. I really like this album. Very highly recommend it.